Good morning, everyone. It is retired Major Brenda Sanchez coming to you live from Colorado Springs, Colorado. If you don't know me, I would love to learn more about you. I would love for you to comment below where you're watching from and what your military affiliation is. So, a little bit about me. I am a 27-year Air Force veteran. I served both active and reserves and as a spouse. And we're actually with a spouse today, Martha. Her husband Lou owns, well, actually they own together the Chimney service here in Colorado Springs. And so I want to get to know you because I'm all about building relationships. So please share where you're watching from and your military affiliation so that I can reach out, especially if you're a veteran. I want to recognize you and say thank you, thank you, thank you for your service. So let's get started. So I have Martha with me today. Martha and her husband Lou own Dr. Soot Chimney service, right?
Chimney Suite.
Chimney Suite. And I know Martha through eWomen. So those of you who are out there, if you are a female entrepreneur and you're not familiar with eWomen, you need to reach out to either Martha or myself because it's an amazing organization. So I met Martha, I think, originally through eWomen. We're also in BNI together. So we do a lot of networking, and we got talking last week at a mastermind, and I was talking about my military Mondays, and she's like, wait a minute, Brenda. My husband and I, my husband's a veteran. I said, oh, that's right. I need to have you on the show. So Martha, I know you've been doing this for 30. 30 years. 30 years. Well, that's still a long time.
Yeah, 3 decades.
3 decades as a chimney sweep with the Chimney service. And so Lou, it was very much like myself, right? He was active.
He was active for 9 years and then decided enough was enough. So he stopped, and then after about 4.5 years, he got to thinking about it, and we had gotten together by that time. I was lucky because I caught him after he was in active duty. Anyway, he decided to go back into the reserves, and he was in the reserves for 11. I'm trying to think, like 8 of those were here in Colorado Springs at what they call Port Carson.
Yeah, Port Carson.
Port Carson.
Because there is anybody who, if you're not familiar with Colorado Springs, there really is no water here. I mean, we have reservoirs.
No, the closest, well, they used to meet at Prospect Lake. And then they moved to Port Carson. The closest major body of water is in Pueblo, which is about 30 miles away.
Yes.
But they've done a hell of a job protecting our country because we haven't had any submarine attacks here in
Colorado Springs.
Right. So, yeah. But being a wife of a reservist, actually, I found that it was a weekend a month that was mine. So I thought it was great.
So all of you women out there, get your guys in the reserves. Is what
absolutely. But especially being a spouse where we're working together 24/7 in a business as well as in a relationship. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So the reserve duty was great, and he was reserved for a total of 11 years, retired after his 20, and believe me, it was a major countdown that last year. And
I don't know anything about that.
And none of you out there that are serving know anything about that.
Right,
either.
exactly.
But we decided, or actually he decided that he wanted to start a business after we moved here and did not want to go back into high tech, which is where we met. And he came home from the chiropractors one day with this, talking about Mother Earth catalog. And this was in 1989. And amazingly enough, a lot of chimney sweeps got started during the 80s from the ad from August West for Become a Chimney Sweep in the Mother Earth catalog.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny.
Is that when, so I have to ask, side note,
Uh-huh.
is that when Mary Poppins was re-released too? Because I would think that that would have been something that kind of spurred people to be
Actually,
a chimney
no,
sweep.
it was more the industry itself, because what had happened is a lot of times during the 50s, not everything was built with a fireplace. And there wasn't a lot known about fireplaces. I mean, it had not been in vogue until the 50s and 60s and 70s. Well, during the 70s, you started into the eco-friendly movement, and everybody and their brother started producing wood stoves that got stuffed into fireplaces. The problem with that was that you build creosote, which is your flammable substance from solid fuel burning. You build that through cold smoke. And when you take and damp down a wood stove that's in a fireplace, you are creating creosote. So there started to be more and more chimney fires, and the Chimney Safety Institute of America was kind of born and was keeping track of the number of chimney fires and the problems that with wood burning appliances. Hence, the chimney sweep industry was kind of reborn. And that's, amazingly enough, our hearth industry now is really expanding. People go, oh, you can't put in wood stoves anymore. Oh, au contraire. There is an amazing amount of technology in what is perceived to be a low technology industry that makes our inserts that we put in now, our inserts and our freestanding stoves that we install, they are in the 80+% efficiency range.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's something to keep in mind if you are a wood burner someplace in the land other than Colorado Springs, and you're looking at really creating efficiency out of your fireplace. A wood stove insert is a great answer. And they are being engineered more finely even for emission standards in 2020, because right now, most of your wood stoves put out less than 5 grams of particulates per hour. As of 2020, the requirement is 2.5 grams or less.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there's the cost of the stoves is going to go up, but the efficiency is going to go up as well.
Awesome.
So, you know, it's an interesting industry, because you'd be amazed the people that you meet that you wouldn't otherwise meet. Some of the people, for those in Colorado Springs, many of you may be familiar with Stark Kempf and his home on or off of Mesa on Pine Grove that has the beautiful metal sculptures in the yard, some of which have been moved to the UCCS campus. We've done that fireplace. We've actually seen the inside of that house and seen all of the other works that are not just on display in the yard. You know, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Things like that, you know, it's a different kind of industry. It really is.
I bet. So you said he came home with a magazine and decided to be a chimney sweep.
Yes. And I got dragged into it.
But we talked about this. You have the logistics background.
I have the logistics background.
And remind me his background.
His background was sonar tech.
Okay, sonar tech to chimney. So for the viewers out there that say to me all the time, I meet people all around Colorado Springs and all around the world that say to me, but my skills don't transfer into being an entrepreneur or having a business outside of the service after I get out. I'm like,
part of it comes down to, can you work for anybody else?
Right, exactly.
And if you cannot, which quite frankly I tell people all the time,
you're unemployable.
No, I'm employable. My husband, on the other hand, if he could work for anybody else, not that he works for me, I would be gone in a heartbeat back into another business. But yeah, being an entrepreneur is hard work. There's no two ways about it.
It is.
When you come to start a business, you can count on the first 5 years. You have to eat, sleep, dream, and be that business.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, then there's still all of the maintenance and the commitment to your brand. I mean, that's all part of the development. But it's very exciting and it's very rewarding knowing that you've created something through your own efforts that's recognized by your industry, by your community. It's exciting. It's exciting, but you have to want to.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You've got to want to.
Yeah, you've got to want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because it's not an easy task.
No, but what skills do you think you learned as the spouse and your husband learned through the service? Obviously not technical skills other than your logistics background, but what skills do you think you learned in the service that make you a successful business owner today?
Discipline. I think people coming out of the military they are used to structure, they are used to processes, they are used to a structured environment. And in most businesses, it's absolutely essential that you have those kinds of disciplines in place. Because otherwise, if it's not repeatable, then when you bring somebody on board, it makes it very difficult to train them. So in order to be successful in terms of being able to hire employees and make sure they're successful so they want to stay, you need the disciplines and the processes, regardless of the business.
Yeah. Standard operating procedures for those of you civilians, SOPs. Some of you may understand what that means and some not. So that's a standard operating procedure. In the military, we have lots of regs, we have lots of checklists. And so if you come from a military background, you've learned how to write those processes down, because I think that's a great skill that's learned in the service, because we move every 3 to 5 years generally. Well, you have to train the person that's going to do the job behind you, and the country is counting on you to be able to transfer that knowledge to the next person. And in all of the Military Mondays interviews I've done, I don't know that that's come up until now. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is a great skill that many people in the service in the military have gained that you don't necessarily gain in the civilian world. Not that they're not out there, because big corporations have that too.
They do.
Just not, but I don't think they're as prevalent.
Exactly. It's not part of the immediate culture necessarily. And for us, we prefer to hire military. However, it's amazing. Those of you in the military, reach out to small businesses if you are interested in a familial kind of atmosphere, because as I tell people, we do not pay a huge wage because we're little. I mean, we've been around for 30 years, but we have never been over 6 employees. So it's a unique niche market that we're in. But I can tell you, as a small business owner, we can do things that big businesses can't. In other words, we can work with our employees to say, okay, if you need time off, as long as it is outside of the window that we've already got committed jobs, great, we'll work with you for kids' concerts, for award ceremonies, anything like that, so that we can be more flexible than a larger corporation. On the other hand, boy, when somebody gets sick, it
takes a toll on a small business.
It's devastating, because that means the schedule has to roll, because that's, we're counting on that capacity, and without it, it means that we have to reschedule.
Right.
And I hate doing that, but.
So as a consumer now, when you are working with a small business and we have to reschedule, whether it's a chimney company, a furnace company, just understand that they are a very small company with very limited resources. Exactly. And they do their best to get out there and to keep appointments on time. But you know what?
We have a unique, when we schedule, our arrival window is 1/2 hour. Yeah.
Wow.
We schedule our
wait a minute. Say that again.
When we schedule appointments, our arrival window to the customer's home is a 1/2 hour window. If we normally make the first 10 minutes of that window, but if we're not going to be there within the window, then we call.
Wow. How many service industries out there, service companies out there, is it just a half an hour window? Usually
it's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's been a few that it's only 2 or 3 hours, but
Yep.
I'm like, I don't have 2 or 3 hours to sit around the house and wait.
Yep, and we will call ahead, for example. We work with property managers, we work with realtors, which means we work with the tenants on property managers. And, you know, we've had situations where the tenant goes, you know, I'm working at such and such a place. Can we do it over lunch hour? And it's like, yes, we can do that. You know, we try and accommodate them the best that we can. And we always get the question, do you work weekends? And the answer is, no, but thank you for asking, because 2 reasons. One, my guys would be on overtime, so that's a 30% hit in terms of cost. And most people don't want to pay 30% more.
Right.
And the other reason is we're chimney sweeps in Colorado. That means weather can be a problem. So we always reserve the weekends in case of weather routes. That's our big thing.
To fill in
To
when
fill
you
it
need
in.
to.
Yep.
So another thing I just thought of as we were having this conversation is I was thinking of the standard operating procedures and training the person behind you. In the civilian world, it was just an aha moment for me. In the civilian world, most of the people I know that work in the civilian world in a traditional job, you're afraid to train your replacement because they might take your job, or you're afraid to train the person coming up behind you because they could do better than you, and you have to find somebody to take their job to rank advance. Whereas I think in the military, that's another thing that was an aha for me, is I think we're trained to train our replacements, so there isn't that fear of an entrepreneur in the entrepreneur space, especially in the network marketing space. You know, so many people are afraid, well, if I train, like if Martha's in my business with me, I'm afraid if I train Martha, I'll be out of a job. Well, that's exactly what you want to do as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Is you want to train your replacement, whether it's a brick and mortar, whether it's a network marketing, because the whole goal of Martha and Lou is someday maybe to be on a beach somewhere and let somebody else be running the business,
exactly
right? You want to train your replacement.
Absolutely, because we have a progression within our company of starting off as apprentice, working up to journeyman, journeyman to senior, senior to master. So that's a 10 to 15 year path. And that's the kind of thing where absolutely we want people to progress.
Right.
So that right now we're kind of hindered because we have an apprentice, which means that they're tied at the hip with my husband for 6 months. And once they can go on their own, they pass their certification exam, they pass my standards in terms of customer service, then they have the opportunity to operate solo. At that point, we can bring on another apprentice so that we can get our business mature to the point that we have a couple of journeymen or
so that you can
working
take
for senior.
vacations.
That's right.
Or
that's exactly
be
right.
gone for a while and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you always want to work to replace yourself.
Right. So I know from our mastermind last week that there is a best time of the year to call them for the best prices. Yes, for the best prices and the lowest turnaround time for maintenance. You call now and you're going to get in fairly quickly. You call in the fall and early winter and you might be waiting a few months.
No, not a few months.
Okay.
Basically, it'll run between 3 and 5 weeks.
Okay, yeah, month to a month and a half.
Yep.
So if you want to save money
Yep.
on cleaning your chimney and your wood burning stoves and fireplaces, then now is the time to call them.
Now is the time to call. And especially if you mention that you heard me on this Facebook Live, then there's a $15 off coupon available for you.
Awesome. So what do they need to do? They need to call, but do they need to comment put a comment saying coupon?
Yep.
So do that for us in the comments, put coupon, and then that way Martha can reach out to you or Lou can reach out to you and make sure they get you scheduled and give you that discount.
They can go to our Facebook page.
Okay.
They can also go to our website. There's
Awesome.
a contact sheet there. So either way, or just call us at 598-4466, area code 719.
Awesome. And I've already tagged her Facebook business page and her personal page on this. So you can find Martha and you can find Dr. Soot. And of course, go to the website, but reach out to Martha. And if nothing else, just learn about her and her husband. They're an amazing couple and very successful business owners. I'm sure they could share some things they've learned along the way that might be able to help you in your business. Or if you're a military member that's considering getting out of the service and looking at the trades, look Martha and Lou up and see if chimney sweep, or I'm sure they can point you in many directions around town in the service industry of others that are looking for people just like you.
We have an extensive Rolodex because of the fact that we've been in this
business for a long time.
And we're more than happy to share.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining in today with Military Mondays and Martha and Dr. Soot, Chimney Sweep, right? Chimney. I did that right. Dr. Soot, Chimney Sweep. Say that 3 times fast. So look forward to seeing all of you next Monday here on Military Mondays. Bye, everyone.
Bye.